What's happening, guys? Couple of technical difficulties today. Minor stuff. Power supply's blown up. But that's not going to affect us with some clean tones, some nice chill vibes today. Haven't played all weekend. Haven't played a note all weekend. I'm gonna play a little solo. Get my fingers going up. Then I'm gonna grab a chair. Grab some clean tones. Siglet. DK Rift. Wow. Not all weekend. Nope. I don't think I played a single note this weekend. You worked on Storms. Oh, I'm gonna have to see that, Siglet. I'm gonna have to see it now. I'm gonna have to see it. What's up? I have an old version of it. Oh, I'm gonna have to check this out then, Siglet. Get that gain out of the way whilst we can, because we're gonna go full clean in a little, well, a couple of minutes. A slightly different version, Siglet. Was it a live version or the demo version? That could be a future McRocklin Hutch track. We will not know for a while as we continue to work our way through tracks. But today, there's going to be very little distortion, maybe a little bit. I thought we'd start dialing in some clean sounds, and I'll show you how I like to use my clean tones. Talk about some of the signal chains, and of course, if you have any questions, that's what it's all about. That's what these lives are about. Sit down, chatting, and I'm going to screen share some of my set, well, the entire thing. So let's jump right into it. I have a stool. It feels so weird live streaming and grabbing a stool so early on. Rainy day, clean tones. Oh, Sean, I tell you what. Earlier today, it was absolutely chucking it down in the UK, as we would say. It was just, it's been pretty warm and humid recently, so I guess it was coming. But yeah, it just unleashed all of the rain earlier. I do have the screen shares on today. Let's move this chair a little bit. And we'll, I'll show you some of the settings and all that stuff today. Yeah. Who likes a good clean tone? Have we got some clean fans here? Oh, we just got all high gain, shred. You get into that weather, oh man. It's kind of good when it clears it out, that's for sure. That is for sure. I'm gonna turn off one fan because I can hear it in the speakers kind of blowing it. So I'm gonna mute the mic. I'm gonna get on my hands and knees for a moment. And normal service will resume in just a second. Absolutely. Clean tones rocks. I agree, I agree. %. Definitely a fan of the cleans. Yeah, I like that too. It's probably why I use so much compression on my clean, because I like to really lay into it. So I'll tell you what then, before we do anything, let's just play a couple of chords. How about we do something a little bit different? How about we switch over to a Delos? It's got the HSS set on it. It'll be really, really great for all of the cleans. This guitar here, as you guys know, this has the Fluence Tosin Abasi set. Very, very cool guitar. Battery pack on there. But we'll grab our classic. I don't think it comes as more of a classic setup as the HSS set here, which actually is the classics. Love this guitar. And as you guys know, every time I pick it up, I always say, I should play this guitar more. Okay, so this is the Kiesel Delos with a HSS set. Tuning's not too bad, considering it's probably not been played in a couple of weeks or so. It's maybe out of rotation. What do you guys use for your clean tones? What's everybody's typical setups? Do you go straight into the amp? Do you use software? How do you get your clean tones? It's quite an interesting thing, because like if you just have a Marshall and then just use a clean tone, maybe a graphic EQ in front of that Marshall would make all the difference to kind of induce some of those little scoops, bring out some of the top end, stuff like that. So much more you can do. Oh, okay, Siglet's using the Pliny plugin, tasty plugin. Do you use all of the like compression and stuff from the Pliny, Siglet, or do you use any pedals with it? Or are you just fully in the software? I mean, it works perfectly fine just like that as well. You know, I really struggle to like get away from using... Oh, GT1000's a great device. Yeah, I got some great cleans out of the GT1000. Ah, Michael. Well, there you go. You're already at a disadvantage. You have us at a disadvantage because, you know, if you can't get a bloody good clean out of the Fender Tweed, then something's wrong, right? Oh, look at that. So Siglet, there's a preset clean, the tone clean in there, and combine it with Crystallizer from Gojira using Logic. Okay, so you're sort of using two together. Sean's, yeah, nice. Yeah, so a lot of software, a lot of neural DSP stuff going on here. All right, so the way I'm running all of this is right now, my guitar's going into a quad cortex, and from the quad cortex, I have left and right going into the door. And from the door point of view, that looks like this. In fact, you know what? That is, now that's what it looks like. So you see right here, it says quad cortex. And this is the inputs from the quad cortex. And then I have these door feeds. And what those are is I'm using the additional outputs in the quad cortex to have outputs 3, outputs 4. And I have presets made where I've specifically disabled every single output apart from output 3 and output 4. So what that means is when I stamp on a preset, for example, I can go to 1, I only have the input going into input 3 for this particular setup. So in this case, you can see when I go back to the door, see this here? Here? That says door 1, right? And that means I can just drop any plugin I like here. In this case, it's Corey Wong. And that's really, really cool. Now, the nice thing is about doing this is if I want to turn this compressor off and get to my quad cortex on the floor here, what I can do now it's very, very hot, so I'll have to turn that level down a little bit. What I can do is basically use, in this case, a Bogner Hollow in front of the Neural DSP plugin, and I really, really like that. You know, I'm a bit of a hybrid guy. I love the Neural DSP plugins, but you know, over the years you collect some of your favorite pedals, and you know they have a certain vibe, and it's nice to kind of use those as well. Yeah. We were peaking a little bit there, because that's not normally something I would do when I have door 3, which is that single level line level 3. That's normally meant for 100% plugin. So when I loaded it up before, just like this, the compressor would be normally done from the plugin, and that way I can literally just chop and change plugins as I like. So if I change over to door 2, which uses output number 4, what that does is, you can see right here, it's jumped over to the Gojira. And we have an option of switching that off and using the Tim Henson. So I like stuff like that, using the presets that I dialed in together. And I use that for like a swampy lead, so you can hear that reverb. It's got quite a lot of reverb on it. The preset here, that uses all quad cortex and no door sound, as in no Neural DSP or Eventide or Crystallizer. That has less reverb and delay on it. That's kind of like my normal gain tone, if you like, right? So I like to have that variation because sometimes a sort of different part of the track, you might want to have a slightly different overdrive sound. You might want to kind of push it a little bit further back in the mix. Now I do have a button on the floor, which is only for that purpose. So no matter what routing I have going on, I can always push button number 4 on the live logic, and it goes from this to this. It just throws a bunch of reverb on it, no matter what. And I lift it. It's momentary. So if I'm standing up and I just want to swamp it out, lift it, reverb's dead. So that's how I do a lot of the sort of special effects as well. They're all on momentary latches. So if you're feeling a bit frisky, you can do some fun stuff. Keeps it interesting. Yeah, I like it, because a lot of the time I might only want that swampy reverb for like a few bars, something, and then I lift it and I'm kind of back in focus in the mix, So it's like it's a way of kind of maybe changing up the lead lines, playing something a little bit different, taking a step back, and then you lift it off, back into the shred mode. So I kind of really, really like that. It's a fun thing. Like the auto panel, yeah, this one. That's a funky one. And then we've got the arcade sound, which sounds crazy. Can I talk about the clean tones in the Boss Katana? Yeah, of course. And that's a self-oscillating delay that just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. And implodes, goes crazy. Can you talk about the cleans and the katana? So the cleans and the katana, all of those patches and presets, whether it's the Katana Air, the GT1000, the Katana Mark II, every patch or preset pack that I've done for Boss, they've all relied 100% solely on what's included in the product. So when you load those patches, pending your guitar, it's going to be very, very, very close to how I dialed it in. So all of the compression, amps and stuff like that, they'll be all from the Boss GT1000 and the Katana series and so on. But you have 100 head, so if you've got a Mark II, then the preset pack that I did for Boss will be able to load on your 100 watt head, depending if it's a Mark I or Mark II, because the preset packs that I did is for a Mark II. But yeah, any of the Mark IIs should be able to load those just fine. Now bear in mind when you're using a different cab, that's when it might start to change a little bit, because when I was using when I was dialing in those tones, I would have been using impulse responses or another cab. So you might have a different 4x12 or something. You've got a Mark II. Nice, cool. Then check them out. I mean, it's totally free, and the feedback is always fantastic. I took about 3 to 6 months or so, just like on and off, on and off, on and off. In fact, the Mark II video you'll see, it's actually a slightly older style video that we were shooting, and my braces were like a year earlier down the line. I was like, oh, we shot this video like a year ago. Look, like the braces are totally different then. But yeah, it was just because Boss Japan, they took their time, but I also took a lot of time, like just tweaking the patches just to make them sound as good as possible. But yeah, good patches though, for sure. Yes, Joel, let's do it. Anything, I mean, whatever you have a question, Joel, fire it my way. I'm glad you're doing a clean tone special. The keys are amazing. Yeah, well, that was, oh, you might still be here, Joel, so cool. So I'm gonna go to a default clean sound, and then I'm gonna kind of peel it back, yeah? I'm gonna kind of strip away some of the layers, and I'm gonna see how that clean sound is built up. Some of the EQ, some of the IRs, some of the effects, and that way you'll have a good idea of like how I would assemble one of my favorite type of clean tones. So if you guys join my live streams, well, one thing you'll hear and see a lot more recently is the quad cortex in operation. Now this tone here, if we go over to the door here, you'll notice that it has a lot of levels coming into it, right? By the way, is the mic loud enough? Do we need a little bit more mic or anything, or we're good? Mic's fine? Cool. So what I was talking about earlier was feeding kind of additional inputs. Mic's good? All right, nice guys, cheers. Sort of parallel in this case, because this case I have the stereo input from the quad cortex. So if we just literally solo this. And then I have another, every time wait, do I have solo? I need to put solo safe on. This is a goldmine plugin. See this little plugin here? It's called Solo Safe. And we use audio movers for when we're doing like the McRocklin Hutch stuff. So with a Solo Safe plugin, if I go and solo this channel with a Solo Safe left on the other channel, when I solo this one, the mic will still come through. That's pretty useful, because a lot of the time in mixes or presentations, you might solo a channel, but every time you do that, you're muting the mic. It's like, So you put the solo save plugin on it. So this channel here, this is kind of mostly all wet. All wet. There's no. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, you hear that? It's all just the ambience, yeah? And that is a combination of crystallizer. You guys know I use this plugin a lot. It's great at doing these sort of pitch things. But you can see it's on 100% mix. It's pitched up an octave, and I probably have tweaked it a little bit to shave some of the top end off. You can see here, I've taken some of the bass out and some of the top end out. So that way it's not as kind of shimmery and sort of dramatic on the top. And then another favorite plugin of mine is the Black Hole. It just does ambient stuff so well. Really great plugin. So the kind of combination of those together, yeah, it's an awesome, just, it's not a shimmer, but it just does that really stretched out reverb really well. So now if we kind of put those back together, yeah, Eventide's great. So the kind of cool thing is this slider here, we can blend that in just as much as we like because it's just a complete wet channel. So if I turn it off completely, now the cool thing is previously, when I first started using the Quad Cortex, I wouldn't actually use the reverbs in it. I was literally just using the amps, the actual clean amps, and then the distort amps, and all of the reverbs and delays were done inside Ableton with either their stock reverbs and delays or third-party plugins. Now, as I've, well, two things. As I've spent more time dialing in the Quad Cortex, and it's also had major updates and continues to get updates, then I've started to shift more of the processing over to the Quad Cortex. So now the reverbs and delays for that is all from the Quad Cortex. So the only thing that I'm using, I like this guitar as well, Cody. It's a lovely guitar. Plays really well. It's got that roasted maple neck as well. Classic, 2 Fishman single coils, super 5-way switch. And the awesome thing with this guitar is when you go on this neck position, sorry, the bridge position, we pull up the tone knob, sorry, the volume knob, and it actually turns this humbucker into a single coil, so it's like it can do single coils. Usually to get that, I would just go in the 2 and 4 position. But if you want that super twangy, we can literally just pull this volume pot up. Goes from a humbucker. Yo, Jamie, hi, welcome, nice to see you. So it's really versatile. You can do like chugs, riffing, solo stuff. It's a great combination. So classic, gold, couple of single coils, 5-way super switch, get that battery game on, that, and just literally goes straight on the Kiesel Delos. So yeah, it's totally quiet in here. There's no noise. To be granted, the iMac, it's an i9 last year's model, maybe a year or so ago. And it's running a pretty heavy project right now. I mean, this is a lot of plugins, and the latency, I'll show you how I have the latency set in this preferences. It's running at 6 milliseconds. So 128 samples on the quantum audio interface there. Bear in mind, like the lapel mic, you know, we have tons of plugins running, dynamic EQs, multiple dynamic EQs actually. See, some of these are to null the room out, some of them are to make the mic sound better. And then on top of that, we have things like SSL channel strips. You've never seen somebody with so many plugins just on their voice channel. It's like, what? And then we have gates and limiters, of course. Yeah. So yeah, quite a bit of processing just to make a lapel mic sound like how you'd like it to sound, a bit more pleasing. And then obviously all the real-time plugins, and we have SY channels as well. Some real-time synths running. So if I pick up a quad cortex, if I pick up a triple play, then I have some synths ready to go as well. So this is kind of like my live streaming template. Yeah, and then you know, if I turn on that SY200, you'll see this channel over here kicks in line into gauge. Oh, the room itself. Oh, the mic, yeah. Sorry. Oh, the pickups, you mean? Yeah, yeah. You're hearing the SY200, which is from this video right here, actually behind us. Look who it is. It's the man himself. So I love on those clean sounds blending the SY200 in. So yeah, I mean, I've got to say, I mean, I'm just so into gear and geeking out on the stuff. So this is all a little bit, you know, granted on the extreme side of things. You know, you don't need one button to change like complete audio paths and stuff like that. But you know, if you're in a live stream, I'm like streaming 2-3 days a week, it's super handy, you know, when you just want a different sound. You know, you don't need to go to the keyboard mouse, you just hit one button and it's ready to go. So it's more probably evolved from that. And then a lot of the time, hey David, nice to see you. And then a lot of the times I'll actually use these sounds that I create for the streams on audio recordings, because I've kind of tuned them in over like a number of months or weeks. I'm like, oh, that's a great gain sound. I'll use that for the next McRocklin Hutch track. And in which case, also I would do, I would go into the DAW and highlight a bunch of stuff and delete it all. And then add the track, go in, like build a sort of Ableton set. So that's the way I do it. I would totally embrace the tech, man. Future is now. That is it, Cody. That is it. Get on that tech game. Geeking out. So, just on that clean sound then, the only thing that I'm using that's external to the quad cortex is the Bogner Hollow. So I should have a, well, I guess the easiest way is probably just to there we go. That's a disable. So you can hear it takes a hell of a level drop. So it's very much relying on the clean tones to have that quad cortex or another compressor come in and just push that level all the way up. I'll turn it back on whilst I just hold some notes here. And it's like the amp was bypassed. Let me disable the EQ and reverb, and then you'll hear the actual sound coming out of it. So that's my clean. That's a very typical clean. It's got like a bit of sparkliness about it. I really hear when I play a chord that has a lot of notes ringing through it. It's quite even, you know, where the compressor, the Bogner Hollow's really doing a good job of kind of evening out those notes. And what DK Riff was mentioning earlier is, if you bear in mind like how much processing some of these patches have, absolutely he was pointing out that basically how clean and noiseless the pickups of the guitar are sounding. So I have a compressor that is absolutely just punching so much compression into the amp, and I have the amp itself. Then I have another compressor after the amp to stop any kind of peaks from the amp. Now, I don't always have my cleans like that. That's just like my main clean. But if you think like, okay, so we've got one compressor absolutely just smacking the hell out of the signal chain. Then it's gone into an amp. It's fairly bright. I've got my own custom IR loaded, and I've got another EQ after that. And then I've got this is in the quad cortex, and I've got some shaping going on that after that as well with some more EQ. And then I have sometimes a sort of duplicate signal chain going in to give us those big crystal sounds. Example, this. Typical clean. Sorry, I meant like this is my typical clean. So it's a little bit, you know, yeah, I mean, you can get this type of clean tone for probably way less items in the chain. For me, it's all just about like just having options all the time, you know. So yeah, I mean, you know, if you listen, like, how much noise are you hearing? You know, you probably hear more noise from the mic than anything. Tons of compression, loads of amp, no buzzing. Go to the bridge, split. You know, a lot of guitars with this much processing, as soon as you touch the string, in the background. And that's just amp with a lot of compression. Two compressors, Bogner Hollow and a VC style compressor. Even if we let it fade all the way down, you'll hear it. Hardly any notes there, but the compressor's trying to bring the volume back up. Also, tuning stability on this, you know? Very, very solid trem, Kiesel Hipshot trem. I like it a lot. It's a really good system. I've got that trem on this Hyperdrive and the Delos. Sorry, DC600. This is the Delos. Really, really good. Very stable trem system. Now, there's one plugin that really, I absolutely love. This is starting to turn into, it's not like an Eventide special or anything like that, but I really like this plugin. It sounds so good on cleans. So what I'll do is I'll leave my clean just like that. I'm not adding reverb or delay. And it's called the Eventide Tri-Chorus One of my favorite choruses. I'll just literally drag it right into there. I'll just leave it on the default preset. I just like A/B that on and off, so I'll play a chord and let it ring out and turn it off. Really like that compressor chorus. It's one of my favorites. Now when you combine that with reverbs and delays, oof, it just gets absolutely out of control. It's just like, it's the full dream sequence sound, you know? It's just absolutely wild. Really good. So that's me yapping on about different plugins, different gears, different ways that I kind of use tones, clean tones. Any questions on clean tones? Anything that you've struggled with that you think, oh, my sound is not this, or it could be this, or how do you do this, or what kind of coffee do you like? Whatever it might be, guys, let's have a little chat. And whilst you're typing, this is another type of clean that I use, and this is actually a preset that I made for the Jugar sound. That speed. Minor, what's up? Now you can hear that sound. It's much more, that sort of more rough and ready type of clean sound. And that's another sound that is, I think there's two types of clean sounds that you should always have the ability to like have very quickly, or you can just create them. That is the kind of, the broken up clean sound. I have presets, but I don't have them like saved on my favorite 8s, where it's just on the edge of breakup. I think that's a really good clean sound to have, because sometimes you need that type of clean on a mix, and the other type of clean is that super sparkly clean that I was using before. But yeah, stuff like this. Very useful. And it's very different to this sound. All right, let's jump into these questions. Yeah, and whilst we're talking, let's get some more coming in. For that dream tone you just mentioned, adding inverb and delays, is there a particular order for your chorus, delay, and reverb that you like? No, I always go in a set order, and it's a very good question, because let's say you went out and bought 3 top-end plugins. You know, let's say you bought Black Hole, Tri-Chorus, and a great delay, or you used your DAW delay. Like, you know, you could put those in any order, and whilst there's no rules on how you should do things, generally for me, this is the entire order of the signal chain that I pretty much stick by literally 99% of the time. It's very rare that I deviate from this. In a clean scenario, guitar into the wah-wah. The wah-wah into the compressor. The reason I like to do that is wah-wahs have a lot of sort of peaks and spikes, you know? And it can be a little bit kind of piercing. So I go wah into compressor, because if there's any sudden jolts or spikes, the compressor goes, we're gonna clamp that down a little bit, you know, we're gonna calm it down a little bit. So that's the first thing, you know. And I use the 95Q by Dunlop, so you can see when I push down, it comes on, and when I release, it auto disengages. Have you ever sat and tried to do a wah-wah like a regular crybaby? You know, you have to put a lot of force onto them, and I like to jump in and out of the wah-wah, so the 95Q works really well. It just kind of auto disengages. So I go wah into compressor, into amp. Yeah, you hear it. And it just comes back in. So I love that wah, it's a great wah. I've tried loads of Marleys, all sorts, and just the 95Q just works really well. So speeding this up, wah into compressor, and then that goes into amp. Yeah, so whatever amp sim I'm using, and then after the amp sim, I might have another compressor. So I compress before I go in and compress after the amp. Never compress any distorted or gain sounds, so I'll talk about that separately in a second. So this is just a clean, so we're going wah, compressor, amp, secondary compressor if required, and usually at this point I'll stick a noise gate, so when everything hits and drops, it's like totally quiet. And then I go from that into delay, reverb, wait there. Often after the gate, that's where I'll put like an extra EQ if I need to sort of shape it a little bit. So wah, compressor, amp, gate, EQ, normally like a fab filter, dynamic EQ, so it's not always doing the same shape, it'll adjust itself depending on what's going in. And then at that point, that's where I'll put a stereo chorus if I need it at that stage in the signal chain. And then delay, typical delay that I like to use is a ping pong delay, and I shave some of the top end and bottom end off, and sometimes I'll use a little bit of ducking in that delay as well, so when I'm playing the delay kind of squashes down, and then when I stop playing it perks back up. And then finally at the end, the very final thing is the reverb. That's kind of the order that I go in. And just so you know what I'm talking about on that ducking effect, if I no, we're not going to the roof. Echo, I'll just show you on the built-in one here. I mean, I have a lot of different delays and echoes, but I use the Ableton one quite a lot. I'm just gonna drag this echo. Okay. So a lot of the time, basically, I take some of the bottom end. Most, Logic, Pro Tools, all these doors have that. You can see I would take some of the bass out of the echo. If I really exaggerate that, it's going too thin. There we go, something like that. Now you can see this is full frequency, 20K. Probably too bright, so I'd kind of just shave some of that top end off. Now at this amount, 43% wet, there's quite a lot of echo on, right? Couldn't really strum. But if I went over here and turned on the ducking, I could basically set a threshold so when I'm playing, it kind of clamps the delay down when I'm not playing it. There's different ways you can set this up, but the Ableton one has ducking built in. Now this is quite extreme. Typically on a clean, I would have less wet dry and less ducking, but the same thing is there, but just a less extreme version. So it's repeating there. And then when I play, it's actually the level of the repeats is less. It's very, it's just a really good way of just decluttering your guitar tones, decluttering your mix. You might want to sidechain some reverbs to all sorts of things. I mean, we could go off on sidechaining, but the term sidechaining and ducking, it's a very, it's the same kind of deal, really. Yeah. No, you're welcome. It's really important on guitar tones, I feel, because it's very easy to have too much delay, and you might want that delay effect to be there, but when you lift off, when you stop playing. So if I really kind of push that, So you can hear there, when I play the delay level, it gets ducked. And then I lift off, I kind of slide away. I'm leaving that ring out. And you're not hearing it all the time, going bang, 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 left to right. It's getting out the way. It's giving us that space. So that's why I think a little bit of ducking is really, really good, just for those, just decluttering the tones. You're not hearing the delay or the echo? Slide away, it's there, it's filling that gap. So it's just about the balancing, and bearing in mind that you can adjust that release time of your duck. So if I really, really make it very, very fast, it's like very quick. As soon as I slide away, it's off on one, it's doing its thing. So yeah, I mean, you know, there is other ways you could set this up. If your DAW plugin doesn't have that, this is another way you could do that. You'd go to your effects channel, you'd put a delay on your effects channel, you put it 100% wet, because you wouldn't want to dial in, let's say, your original audio channel and this additional effects channel with wet dry, because then the dry part of this channel is gonna phase cancel your actual dry channel. So you'd have your delay channel on 100% wet, and you could put a compressor on that channel afterwards, but you'd sidechain that compressor to your guitar channel, and that's going to do exactly the same thing as ducking, but in a manual way. So, I mean, you know, I don't do huge amounts of one-on-ones and stuff like this, but I do probably one lesson like this direct. It's normally one-on-one kind of lesson stuff that I do a little bit of these days. But there is one person that I do production lessons on, you know, once a month or so. So if this is something that you're interested in, there's actually a link in the bio or link in the description on YouTube or Facebook where you can click that and you can check out my schedule and book a session if that's something that you want to get more into. Anyway, good question though, and sorry David, it went on a bit of a rampage, but that's my signal chain. By the way, just real quick, if I have like a sort of lead or a rhythm tone, what I do is I go wah, and then I would go into something like a precision drive. Now, the same thing is happening with the Quad Cortex, because recently I've just profiled a lot of my favorite overdrives. So I don't have a pile of overdrives on the floor like I did like a couple months back, but the signal chain's the same. So I go wah into precision drive, and then precision drive into amp, and then amp is followed by a gate. You could put a gate before the amp as well if you wanted to get really, really sort of spicy with your tight stuff. And then from the amp into a delay and a reverb. But in terms of like the wet effects, chorus, flanger, you know, reverbs, delays, normally I'll go chorus, echo, or delay, and then reverb in that order, you know, because if I hear delays, I want it to have like the delay of the chorus, and the reverb always just goes last. You've been writing those notes down. Nice. Yeah, well, we're gonna have an exam later. Listen, I'm thinking about trying something a little different on today's stream. We might fire up YouTube streaming on the McRocklin YouTube channel. Today is Monday, so we normally have a shred club, but it's a little bit more chilled out on a Monday. And I'm not 100%, but you know, we'll confirm 100% in the Discord in a little while. But I'm thinking about trying it today. I've got a few different ideas. So that's kind of a typical setup, really. I know it sounds like a lot of stuff's going on, but I think if you have just an amp, you know, a Marshall, a Boss amp, a Fender amp, I think with like a good compressor, you'd be able to get very, very close to a lot of the cleans that I use. I guess the reason I like the Bogner Hollow so much is it has that tone knob in it, which is very, very good at bringing out the sort of sparkliness. And then of course the Fishman Fluence pickups, well, they're just amazing at giving great split tones. So that all kind of helps and feeds into each other. But yeah, nothing beats a good, you know, if you're sitting down, you're writing, you're playing. Clean sounds, always gonna, you know, it's just unbeatable. All right, got a little challenge. Who's got the best ears for classic songs here on the stream right now? Now we've got a few guys over on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, so we're gonna have to take in consideration how long each streaming platform has as a delay. But here we go. Classic track. That's like the intro lick, and then verses. Thanks, Warren. Who's got it? Who's gonna guess this classic track? Back to that intro. The original version almost certainly didn't have a trem on it, mind you, so when I'm doing the trem shakes, that wasn't on the original. The lead line. Difficult one. It's a classic, but yes, it's not something you hear every day, that's for sure. It is Sylvia by a band called Focus. You ever heard that track? It's very different to this. Very different. Michael's not getting it either. Yeah, it's a very difficult one. Yeah, it's called Sylvia by Focus. Yeah, classic track. It's got lots of organs on and stuff like that, you know. All right, okay. All right, we're gonna do one more round, okay? One more round of classic track. This one's not as out, you know, well, it's not as... Yeah, Focus was a pretty popular track, but it's a little bit, you know, it's off the beaten track, shall we say. Smoke on the... Oh, come on, troll. All right, here we go. Yeah, the voicings are good. Smoke on the water. Come on, troll. I'm not going to play like that. Here we go. Come on. Come on, who's got it? You have to do like a full bar here if you're gonna play it like this. See, Miner's called it, he's got it, there he goes, Miner in strong. Yes. Green Onions, Miner, that is it. Now actually, to do it this way, because it wasn't really played like this originally. Oops. If you're sitting with your guitar, try it right now, because when you get up to this one, the 5th fret, you have to literally bar the entire thing, because we're effectively playing open chords. Booker T. No, it is definitely Green Onions. Yeah, yes, there we go. Minor and Michael called it. Yeah, if you're sitting with the guitar, try this. So you're gonna bar this entire 5th fret and play an E chord. Effectively, if you imagine playing an E chord, this is open. Okay, this is open like with alternate fingering. You know, we'd be barring it like this, right? Because it's open. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. And then a G chord, you know. That you'd be playing like that if you were considering the opens like barred, right? So we'd have to bar the entire 5th fret. Oh, wait, it's Booker T in the MGs. I just remember the original version as green. Now, Booker T, I mean, they might have the same riff. I mean, I'm sure it's not the most original riff in the world. But I just remember learning it as Green Onions way back in the day. I think there's only one way to settle us, guys, and that's for us all to get in the ring and just battle it out. We each all grab our axes and we just run to the center of the ring, and start swinging. And the last person that leaves the ring, well, they are the winner. They've got it. It's exactly the type of, you know what, the Type X is probably nice. It's just nice and agile and has enough of the points in it, Sean, yes. Yes, this is exactly the type of content that Fishmen love to see on their channels. This is exactly what they signed up for. Talking about getting in the ring with a guitar each and taking each other down. But I hope you enjoyed today's little bit of a clean session, tone building for the nice clean vibes. I absolutely love clean vibes. And there's one other type of clean sound that I actually didn't really use at all, and I actually use it quite a lot. And to do that, we'd have to have a very, very simple sound like this. And we just disable it. But when we do that, as mentioned, I put a bit of a big lump of compression. Effects loop 1 and 2. That is just a DI with a Bogner Hollow. You know? Boosh! Bang. I like that sound a lot. Just DI. You hear just everything about the guitar itself. Yeah, great, lovely. Just the DI, but with a big, huge dollop of compression right up front. Oh, Michael, I'm very, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, mate. Need to hear something a little slow. Been a week since I lost my mom. Did want to say to you last. Oh, mate, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Oh, mate. Yeah. Michael, do you have me on Discord? Are you on the Discord, Michael? Yeah, that's a big one, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Hey, Werner. Thanks for hanging out today. Yes. Give me a DM, mate. Give me a DM. Let's have a couple of minutes when you get a chance today at some point. Yeah, we'll have a video call. We'll see how you're doing. Okay. We've never video called before, and I don't normally offer to video call people, but hey, let's have a little chat. Send me a DM, and we'll take care of it. But otherwise, guys, I'm gonna be back on a platform later today. Could be Twitch, might be YouTube, but head over to the Discord, and that's where we'll confirm everything today. And yeah, we'll do that. Might be a little bit again, kind of like this vibe, a little bit more of a gentler one. No Friday madness, but having said that, some crazy things have went down on Mondays too. So that's over on, well, easiest way to get to the Discord, just go to mcrocklin.com/Discord, and I'll take you right there. And yeah, it's been lovely. Michael, Miner, Werner, Zeroed, even here in the house. Hello, mate. My man, DK Rift, Troll, everybody, David. Nice to see you guys. Siglet. Awesome. You guys have a wicked remainder of your afternoon, and I'll see you live later on today. Exactly. All right, we'll see. We might try YouTube for a bit of a change today. See what kind. Oh, by the way, we have to check the Slamurai out live. So that's something. Hey, Zero. That is something that will fire the additional camera up today and put this thing through its paces for a few minutes live. So the Slamurai, we shall get up to some nonsense with that as well. So that's what we'll do. But for now, have some tea, have some coffee. Yeah, should be fun. And I'll see you guys a little bit later. All right, take care, everybody. Cheers. Bye.